right, YouTube. So today, the parts that we primed yesterday are dry, ready to go. Man, these things look good. They're ready to go. So today what we're gonna do is we're gonna get the plane and the parts mocked up back into the cradles and just kind of do a sanity check, make sure all the parts are still lining, pieces are there, make sure there's no issues with that. And then we will proceed to start riveting, start assembling. I don't know how much riveting if we're gonna get any riveting done today. The goal today is just to get the parts, to get the part, the flap mocked back up after disassembly to make sure that and I'm sure we didn't lose any parts, but just do a sanity check now that everything is primed and ready to go. So that is the task for today, and yeah, well, God willing, right? All right, YouTube. So putting the ribs back onto the spar, let me recommend a few things that I found to make my life a little bit easier. Put these on last. These are the mounting points, or the bracket, the pivot arms. Put those on last. Those pieces on last. The other thing is make sure you orientate your spar. I had to pull out the plans. I have them right there. You got to have these plans in front of you when you do this. Find a starting point, and in this case, this was the easiest starting point. It was closer to the center. It was the center. It was closest to this. Make sure you have your orientation of your ribs right. There's only one way they can go in. If you look at the holes here, they're spaced in such a way, long hole, then two next to each other, right? Longer away, two next to each other. Then once you do that, then you'll establish the part where you had to clean or cut off a tab here. And so all your cutoffs should be at on the same side. Does that make sense? So if you look at that, if you guys look at your plans, we had to nip off a tab here, and so there. So all of your holes, bottom holes, they should all be on the same side. Now, when you get to the edges, you got to flip them. These ribs go all in the same direction except on the edge, because they, you can get to them. You can use your squeezer to get to them. However, this cutout needs to still be on the top side or bottom side, the top side. Everything needs to be on the same side and everything. So then, and same thing down here. So that way you won't get them mixed up, if that makes sense. So let me repeat. Start from an index. All the ribs will go one way or the other, but make sure I tried to orientate mine according to the plans. I used a combination of those. And then this one here as well. This is page 22-4. Made sure everything flowed in the same direction, and then mocked them up. And, some of the things you just beware of. If your cut tab is, and it depends. I mean, it could be on the bottom depending if you rotate the spar around. Like I said, I tried to orientate mine according to the plans here. And that's how I got it in this position. You could absolutely flip it around the other way. That's what you want to do. But just make sure that everything goes in the same direction as far as these ribs go. They should all be pointing, and when I say same direction, the bends and where your holes are should all be pointing, and in this case, they're all pointing in that direction. Except when you get to the ends, they should be pointing outward. And when I say outward, if you notice, you got a rib here, and it's pointing outward here. So there you go. So now what I'm going to do, since I've got these clecoed up, I'll go ahead and add the skins to give it a little bit more rigidity. Now, what is unique about these flaps, I don't know why Vans, well, I'm glad Vans did it this way, but if you go here, all of these skins are actually blind riveted in. using basically a pop rivet, right? Except for the edges, because you can get to those. So that's really nice. So what I'll do is I'll grab my skins and I'll go ahead and get those in, and that will give it a little bit more stability also while it's in the cradle. So that way we'll go ahead and get those mocked up. Actually, you know what? Strike that. I'm making a decision. I'm making a management decision. That's kind of nervous. I know that I got a Cleco, or that I got a rivet these pieces together. So let me do that. That way I can get these Clecos out of there and they're not in the way. And then I'll move my Clecos to the top. That way there won't be anything underneath that I'll have to get out. So once I put those skins on, they're staying on. I don't have to pull them back off. So yeah, let me do that. So the next order of operation is that I'm going to take these pieces here, you know, the pivot arms. I'll take those off and I'll go ahead and Cleco them according to the plans here, now that they're set. So I'll start getting these Clecoed together according to the plans. That way, and then what I'll do is I'll progress. I just noticed that all my Clecos for the ribs are inside, will be inside the leading edge. And so what I'll do is I'll move those up. So that way when I'm done with this, I won't have any Clecos. I won't have to take those skins off to get to those Clecos anymore. They'll all, you know, everything will be ready to go. So there you go. So that's my process, as convoluted as it is. I hope it helps you guys. But yeah, you just got to make sure you get the right orientation. And this is why I personally did not want to do both ribs, because then it's just more parts, both ribs at the same time, or both flaps at the same time, because it's just more parts that I'm going to have to dig through. This way, these things are, yeah, I mean, they are, it is what it is, right? There's only, you're limiting, instead of having double the parts trying to figure it out, you only have what you need on the bench, and everything. So, all right, so I got to move these Clecos around and everything, and then I will start to rivet these brackets together. And yeah, I'm going to leave them on until I need them, right? And then that way it will eliminate a lot of the confusion. So, all right, got to get back to work. All right, YouTube. So here we go. Once again, the alligator squeezer saves the day. So there's a point in which you've got to squeeze these spacers together with these number 10s. By far the longest rivet I've used since I've done this project. The problem is that because you got two things. Number one, you got a lip that you got to overcome. And it's hard to do this with one hand, so you just got to bear with me. So that space, that pneumatic squeezer's got to go between those two ribs. And there's this, even with the longeron, it's almost near impossible. I just don't know how you can do it. I'm sure if there's a will, there's a way. But this alligator squeezer, easy peasy. I mean, it fits right through there. No big deal, right? Squeezes it without an issue. So another reason, if you can start looking for these on eBay or somewhere, I was able to find this one, and it's just incredible. And it's actually made by Atlantic Air Tool here in the USA. And you can actually buy a new one if you wanted to, but man, they're not cheap. So I would recommend start looking. It's called an alligator pneumatic squeezer, and it will make your life so much easier. I can tell you, there's been parts on this plane where I just don't know how I was going to rivet them, right? You know, but so look for one of these. I would highly, highly recommend it. Yeah, I mean, I can't say enough about it. So just sharing that with you guys, and I still got to put the nut plate on this guy here. So that's why it's off. but I got these squeezed, and now I got to squeeze those down there and everything. But I just wanted to stop and show you getting this one here squeezed. Man, ooh, good times. It's just good times. So now what I got to do, now that they're squeezed and they're together, I got to match drill and then countersink, and I'll show you that here in a little bit, because it gets a flush rivet on both sides. So basically, it's kind of like your wing, your trailing edges of your wing, where when the rivet comes, they're flush on both sides. There's not a tail sticking out. So we'll, you know, there's a way of doing it. So we'll get it done. All right, so I wanted to share something else with you, something that I've learned, and this is actually a really good time to discuss it. There will be times where you're riveting parts together and you've already got a couple rivets in them. And then when you go to put the next rivet in, it's just snug, right? You've already did your drilling, your final drilling and stuff. And usually that's caused because of the primer buildup. And you just can't get that rivet in there. Go down to hardware. So this is actually a gunsmithing hammer. It's kind of beat up. It's got a brass end and it's got a Teflon edge. Yeah, it's beat up pretty bad. Go and get yourself one of these, because it won't damage or mar the rivet, and just give it a couple little taps. Now, I've been on this piece here. I've been very lucky in this one. Well, the other one, the last one I did, it was a little bit tighter than normal, but like I said, it's not a drilling thing. Now, a lot of people will just get their drill and drill out. Well, what I have found, when you do this, you'll see this yourself. When you match drill the parts, no matter how hard or how well you have the parts clecoed together, you know, mated together, chips will get in between the parts. You'll see it. I mean, when you build your RV or when you're working on your plane, you'll be like, how did those chips get between the parts? They just do. So you want to, once you start mating up and final riveting your part together, where you can't pull it apart and clean those chips out, you're gonna want to just get yourself a little hammer and give it a tap, give it a little love tap, you know, a little nudge, a little persuasion hit, and that will help you and stuff. And like I said, now if you didn't final drill your holes, then you're in trouble. You didn't follow directions. This is for those instances where you did final drill and you primed or whatever. And because metal's not going to shrink, right? Well, unless you're in Nome, Alaska, and it's 72 degrees below zero, maybe. But for the most part, the metal's not going to shrink. It's just because you got a buildup of the primer coat and stuff. So just like I said, try to avoid having to drill once the part's mated and you can't separate. Because I don't know. Just trust me. I mean, go do it. Don't trust me. Go do it when you build your airplane. You know, cleco your parts together. Do whatever you want to do. Drill them and then pull the part off. It's amazing how many chips are between the parts. And you don't want to squeeze those together, right? I mean, that causes issues. So, you know, invest in a nice little, you know, gunsmith hammer, or what. I don't know if you can get these at Ace Hardware or whatever, but this is a beat up one. This is my heavy duty. This is the one where I whack. This is a whack-a-mole hammer. For those stubborn parts. So yeah, and like I said, you don't have to hit these really hard. You just have to tap them to get them to sit in place. But for the most part, I will have to say this is my last one. All of them, I had that very last guy down there, right down there, was a troublemaker. I had a few that needed a little bit of love to get them to go. So just another tip to help you guys out. All right, there you go, YouTube. So we've got all of the mounting brackets hooked to the ribs. We still got to put this one on, but I got to grab the nut plate and then not countersink, but flush rivet these to the nut plate. So I still have that to do. Goes like that. But I got all of the other parts riveted. These brackets. I'm going to wait to final drill these out because you're not supposed to do that yet. So I got them riveted per the plans, and now the next step is to do that. But I'm going to go ahead and get that nut plate It's this guy here. I got to hunt it down. MK10428. And knowing my luck, it's probably a different number. That's one thing you will learn about vans is that their plans will have a part number, and then sometimes you'll get, when you get your inventory or your parts, you'll be a replacement part with a different number. So yeah, go figure. So yeah, so I got all these done. I'm gonna call it a day. I mean, I could work some more, but to be honest with you, I've been getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning. You know, it'd be a really bad thing to put all this work in this airplane and not be able to fly it because I can't pass my medical. So I've been very, very diligent on working out, and my trainer, you learn, you know, well, you know, as you get better with things, they turn up the heat a little bit more. So now I'm doing 6 days a week, hour a day. 3 of those days is with a trainer. The other day I'm doing 5Ks on my off days. My off days, I'm doing 5K. I'm not telling you that to brag because trust me, it's killing me. It's not easy, but I am wore out. 4 o'clock every morning is, man, it's brutal, and it's already 5 o'clock or so here in the shop. So I'm gonna get out of here, go home, spend some time with the grandkids and the wife and the daughter and everything. But I think we got a really good progress on the parts, on getting it sub-assembled, making sure everything is where it's supposed to be. What's that song? You know, when you got grandkids, you hear what, you know, toes, knees, elbows, that you know, whatever, you know, foot, what, toes, foot, knee, oh, what, some song, you know, elbows, eyes, you know, same thing here. You know, you just got to start from the ground up and work your way up. So yeah, so I think this is a good stopping point for today. We'll get back at it heavy tomorrow. Yeah, I was happy that I caught the fact that my clecos were on the inside of my skins, because once I get those skins on, I don't want to take them off. There's no reason to at that point. So yeah, that's about it. I just want to say thanks. Leave a comment, question, concern in the comment section. I'll get back to you. Suggestions. I learned a lot from you guys as well. All of the great information that you guys share with me and stuff, and I really, really do appreciate it. And like I said, if you guys need cooking equipment, chafing trays, look at those big old boilers, you know, for if you guys want some seafood or whatever, crab boil, you know, a lot of stuff, deep fat fryers, all this stuff that I don't eat no more. If you guys need anything, and you're in the Florida area, you know, just let me know. I'd love to give it to you, you know, as long as it goes to a good home. So be well, and may God bless.